back to my channel. I'm Jess from Sugar Sparrow. Today we're going to be making these bonfire cupcakes with a chocolate surprise middle. They even have little mini marshmallow skewers. I can't wait to show you how I made these, and they're mega easy. Right, to get started, it is my basic cake recipe, cupcake recipe, but if you've not got all the ingredients, you can chop and change it out. I'll talk you through that as we go, but to start off, my basic recipe is stock, caster sugar, self-raising flour, eggs. To make it chocolate, you need a cocoa powder. I am gonna mix it up and use some soft brown sugar with the caster sugar. If you don't have soft brown sugar, don't worry, you can just do it standard with caster sugar. For the buttercream, it is your normal block butter and icing sugar. I'm not going to record that in this video because I have a full in-depth video on that, so I will tag it below. And for the decorations, so standard buttercream, I've got red, yellow, orange, so it looks like a flame, and also some matchmakers. I always want to call them matchsticks, but they're not matchsticks. Matchmakers. I got the honeycomb ones just because I thought it would go nice with like one vibe, or you can obviously get the chocolate orange or mint ones. I'm going to do something a bit extra and fill my chocolate cupcakes with a chocolate ganache. For that, you do need cream, and you do need, I'm going to do dark chocolate. You can use other chocolates, but I like dark chocolate ganache. I just think it's really tasty. And for an extra bit of fun, we've got gold sprinkles. These are just an add-on, you don't need to use those. And gold paint, and some mini marshmallows and cocktail sticks. These are just, again, a fun add-on if you have them in, if you want to go all out, but you don't need to. I'm going to show you both versions. So let's get baking. For this recipe, I'm going to be making 12 cupcakes. I'm going to be doing 200 grams of each ingredient, which I've spoken about before, but to talk you through it, that's going to be 200 grams of sugar, 200 grams of eggs, which is about 4 eggs, 200 grams of stock, and 200 grams of flour. When I'm doing a chocolate cake, so for the 200 grams of self-raising flour, I just take a chunk of that out and swap it for cocoa powder. So I'll probably do today 160 grams of self-raising flour and 40 grams of cocoa powder. And then again for the sugar, I mentioned earlier, I'm going to use 200 grams of caster sugar, but I'm actually going to do half and half. So half, 200 grams of caster sugar, so 100 grams of caster sugar and 100 grams of brown sugar. This is just going to give it more of a like rich, not necessarily gooey, but just a richer chocolatey vibe. You could do a full 200 of this, but I think for kids it might be a bit too strong. So I'm going to do butter and sugar in the bowl and mix it together. I normally do an all-in-one method, but because of this is a richer and it is quite a sticky chocolate, I just want to beat the sugar and the butter together first before I add my eggs and flour. I pre-warmed up my butter in the fridge. If it was room temperature, you're fine, but you don't want it too stiff and straight out the fridge, so I just popped it in the microwave for a few seconds. So I need 200 grams. Reset that, and then 100 grams of each sugar. And then I'm going to put that on a mix and obviously scrape the sides down as I go. I'm just going to do it on a slow mix to start. See here, it's started to combine. But I want to make sure it's fully Now I need my 4 eggs. I've already pre-cracked them and popped them in here in an Allen Partridge mug because it is my favourite. I then want, like I said, we're swapping out some cocoa powder for self-raising. So I'm going to do 160 grams. There was a spoon in here because I think sometimes it helps guide that I don't add too much. 160. and then 40 grams. So it totals 200. Perfect. Put this back on the mixer, slow to start till it combines, scrape it down and then put it on a little bit again. See, it started to combine together. I'll show you. Looks a little bit like this. So I'm just going to make sure I scrape all sides down. Put it on a mix for a mid to low speed. Don't want to go too fast, and only for maybe a minute or two. The longer you leave something mixing, it stretches out the gluten and then it can start to feel very dense and tight, and that's not what you want in a cake. You want it nice, light and fluffy. So popping this back on. Right, this is lovely and combined together. Just make sure I get all the bits off the paddle so they don't drip. So you can see now it's lovely and mixed together. I've got my cupcake tray with 12 cases in. These cases, they are my go-to, my favourite. They are Sainsbury's own. I'll show you. This is them. They are the perfect size. I don't get peeling. They fit so nicely in boxes. They don't really do other colours, but when something's so good, I don't mind. And of course, I always use an ice cream scoop. I had the same ice cream scoop, I think, for 10 years when baking, until it finally gave up about 2 years ago. And I bought this trusty one from Amazon. It is on my storefront. If you don't have one of these, you can just use your spoons, but ice cream scoops will honestly change your life. Just gonna pop that in there. It doesn't go all up the sides. I also find as well, you can see here, I do about 3/4 full. You don't want to fill your cases up too much because they'll overrise and spill out, and then they might just look a bit more like a volcano. Last one. And if you do have any spare batter, that's absolutely fine. All you want to do is, once these are baked, is fill up another tray and you'll get maybe an extra 1 or 2 cupcakes out there. I've literally got dregs, but it depends on the size of your tray, size of your cases. Don't worry if you can only make 10 out of 200 grams, you might have really big cases, or if you end up making 16, you might have smaller cases. So don't be too worried about that if you do have leftover batter. Mine is pretty much an empty bowl. So mine measures bob on with the Sainsbury's ones. Now I have preheated my oven to I've got a fan oven. I mention this all the time, every oven is different, but I do around 177, and for cupcakes I always keep an eye, 20 minutes, see how they do and make sure they're cooked before I take them out. They might need an extra maybe 2, 3, even 5 minutes, just see how they're doing. It'll also differ. If you've got shallower cases and not as much batter, they're going to cook quicker. If you've got really big cases like the tulip style, they're going to take longer to bake. So let's pop these in and we'll come back and decorate once they've out and cooled down. My cupcakes are out and cooled from the oven and they look and smell delicious. So they took 23 minutes in the end on a 177, 178. Because of the soft brown sugar, it just took that little bit longer. But now I'm going to fill these with dark chocolate ganache, and I'm going to be making that with my cream and cheap dark chocolate. It doesn't need to be fancy. Don't use cooking chocolate because that's for actual baking. It'll taste a little bit funny if you used it in something like a ganache where it's not going to be baked. For filling for ganache, the ratio for dark chocolate is literally 1:1. So I'm going to make 100 grams of this, 100 grams of this, and this is a 100-gram bar. So that's quite easy. I'm just going to break this chocolate up first. Pop it in the bowl. Like that. A little flick. Reset it. And then 100 grams of my cream. I'm just going to pour it so it goes all over it. Spot on. Oh, put on my finger. So I'm going to be melting this in the microwave. I'm going to do 30 seconds bursts at a time and stir. If you have got a very high wattage microwave, just keep an eye on it, because obviously it can burn very, very easily and you don't want burnt ganache. So it'll just taste minging. So whilst the cream is heating up and the chocolate is melting, you'll find the cream will get very hot, so it'll actually help melt that chocolate a little bit quicker, which is why you need to keep an eye on it. So this is only 30 seconds and you can see it's already starting to come together. And here we go. This is Ganache 1:1 ratio, perfect for filling. Ganache you can use in so many different ways. I use it a lot when doing wedding cakes to firm up the outside of a crumb coat. That is a different ratio yet again. But for filling, you want it soft. You don't want it to break your teeth when you bite into it. Now, I've got this ready. I'm going to cut out the centres of these, and I do that by using an apple corker. I'm just going to get a plate to put the crumbs on. So just one of these. I think these are great because you get a perfect size little hole, but you can also do it just, again, using a spoon or a little knife. Plus, I always keep the offcuts and just give it to the kids as little scraps, lots of weight. I'm putting my ganache in a piping bag so it's easy to control. I'm just going to snip the end off. Be wary when making ganache, it is made with cream, which can go off a lot easier and needs to be kept on a cooler side. So if you're leaving it out all day in the heat, I know it's winter, but if it was summer, just be very, very careful, because you could give someone a bit of a food poisoning. Ooh, that looks yummy. Oh my god, look at that. Perfect. Just fill that one up. I'm just going to let them sit on the side whilst we make up our buttercream, but I can't wait to eat these. Now for the bonus little decoration items, I am going to be using mini marshmallows and some cocktail sticks, so it looks like s'mores are melting on top of the fire. I've got white and pink here. I might do a bit of a mix. There you have it, just like those. So I have pre-made my 3 colours, fiery colours. I did use Colour Splash and a mix of Colour Mill. To be fair, they just need to be red, orange, yellow. They don't need to be a particular kind of red, orange or yellow, just as long as they look fiery. Where I put 3 lots of buttercream on some cling film in a big line, and then I'm going to wrap them together and then put that inside a piping bag so they come out blended like you would do a rainbow. So I've laid out some cling film on my worktop, and then I'm putting all 3 colours in like a long pattern. You don't need as much buttercream as this, but this did do all 12 cupcakes, but I did split it in half. So I've got my yellow, my orange, and now my red. I'm doing them as even as possible. And then what I'm going to do is fold that cling film kind of on itself to make it into a tube. So as you can see here, I'm just giving it a little bit of a wiggle, making sure there's no air bubbles. And now I'm going to twist it like a sausage. And this is what, when you pipe it together, it will come out. As you can see here, I'm just adding a little clip on one end. I'm going to chop off the end that's going inside the piping bag. I'm cutting off quite a bit because I want to make sure that I've got enough space for it all to come out together and not a tiny little hole. You'll just get a much better kind of blended swirl. Then I'm putting it in my piping bag. As you can see here, there's like way too much in my piping bag, but I've been doing this a long time. I've got pretty good control. And then here we go. Here's my little tester before I start straight onto cupcakes. Look at that blend. It is so awesome. I did one cupcake off camera, forgot to record, and now I'm just going to do the rest. Like I said, just a swirl motion, very basic. I have got a 1M nozzle, forgot to mention that before. It's just a Wilton 1M. You could use a 2D, anything that's just like an open star nozzle, and it'll get this lovely little flame. Also, doesn't need to be perfect, so don't worry. Now we've got some fiery cupcakes. We're going to be using the matchsticks or whatever you've got similar. You could even use like twiglets if that's your vibe, but I don't think a cupcake and twiglet would do it for me. I'd like a matchstick, and again honeycomb because it's like nice and sweet, making me think of the season. So I'm literally going to chop these up. I am going to measure them first of all because they are too big on their own, so I'm going to cut them all in half and stick them around like a bonfire. So, starting to come together. This is where now, if you wanted to change it up and go a little bit different, before you add the sticks on, you could add on sprinkles. So they look like just little flicks of fire. Or, like I mentioned previously, if you want to add gold flecks, which is your gold paint, so a luster powder and rejuvenation spirit powder just on a plate. I'm just going to add the spirit to loosen it up, make it into a liquid, and I'm literally going to again fleckle it on. So you can see on here there's just a little tiny bit of shimmer. This is when I panicked because I actually ate some of these whilst they were in the oven, and now I'm hoping that there'll be enough. I'm gonna add yet more glitter just because I have some in, just the spray stuff. I'm gonna box these up and then you can see them in all their glory, but I think they look amazing. I forgot the best bit, the mini marshmallows. I've boxed up these cupcakes and I think they look absolutely adorable and perfect for any bonfire occasion. Whether you're staying at home, going to a party, these are, I'm excited to try one, so let's dig in. Here's my cupcake, now let's give it a go. So I'm going to take off the little mini marshmallows so I don't stab myself in the mouth. Just a little pre-warning for any children. Let's pull this down. Gonna move one of them off to start. Oh my god, it looks absolutely delicious. Look how rich that chocolate is with some ganache in the middle. That is so nice. And the ganache is just like a soft little filling. It really absolutely makes it delicious. If you make any of these over the weekend, please tag me. I'd love to see. Comment below if you've got any questions. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, share, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching my video. Subscribe, like, share. See you next time.